Bringing together of, oh, hello, yes. Nice to have everyone here. Bloomberg meets Cornell, meets Tech NYC, and a full room on a beautiful sunny evening just after the long holidays. So thank you for giving us your time. But why wouldn't you? Because we've got an amazing conversation about to ensue with Margaret Lim, of course, Amex, American Express Ventures. But what I'm so excited about our conversation to be having is that you interweave not only the perspective on venture, on investing, but having also been a founder yourself with Her Odyssey, also really in the midst of not just building technology in America, but understanding what international investment opportunities look like, really important for a very global company that you work for. But also how on earth you got there from starting out as an analyst in an investment bank. So there's a lot of questions, and I know some of them will come from the audience as well, so please do save them for the end. But Margaret, let's just kick off with ultimately setting the scene. American Express Ventures has a lot of focus on, well, one would assume, fintech. But it's not all about fintech. When you look at how many companies, 90 plus investments that you've already made, can you break down sort of what attracts you to certain businesses?
Definitely. So if you think about American Express, or if you think about American Express as a company, we're a large global company that serves many constituents, right? So as you think about Amex Ventures as the investment arm of that, we think about our customers that we serve in kind of three buckets. So the first is American Express as an organization. So as we think about our investments, we think about the needs of a large global Fortune 500 company. How do we have technologies that enable greater risk, better operations, more intelligent operations, et cetera? The second pillar are our customers, our card members. And there, if you think about our membership model, we're constantly thinking about new value propositions that are exciting, that can be injected into the brand so that you're excited to be using your Amex cards every day. And then the third constituent is actually our business customers, from the small business owner that's using your card to run the business, all the way through to the largest merchants in the world. And they have a unique set of needs. And the common thread here is that there's fintech, obviously, but there's also so much more. Think about dining, think about travel. So if you look at our portfolio today, beyond fintech, we invest in software, we invest in security, we even have supersonic jets. So I think
an obvious
gives you the breadth of the diversity, and it's because of the different constituents that we serve and the different innovation pockets that we're seeing emerge around the world.
Okay, I've got to go there with the supersonic jet. So Amex Ventures, does the supersonic jet company be like, I need to get in touch with Margaret? Do you hear about the supersonic jet company from other founders that you work with other VCs in the community? How does something, an opportunity like that, suddenly ring a bell with what you're doing as a business?
Great. So if you think about American Express, it's a brand that resonates with so many different people. So as founders are thinking about building their business, they see American Express as a really great partner. And so through our efforts on the ground, meeting with founders, being tapped into innovation ecosystems, like the Tech NYC community, like communities like this forum here today, all the way through to our business partners that also act as our eyes and ears on the ground, helping to identify pockets of innovation, pockets of interest. And we work really synergistically with all of these different stakeholders, all in the interest of finding the best ideas to deliver great products and great services to our customers.
What's so interesting is the fact that you are a global business at that. So how are you thinking about investment opportunities, either about bringing American startups and technologies to your global audience and user base within American Express, or is it inbound? How many global companies are coming to you?
Yeah, so as we're thinking about types of founders to back, and we, first of all, have a global mandate because we're a global company with a global customer base. We think about international and global in kind of maybe two dimensions. The first is we are very focused on backing founders from diverse backgrounds that are building in innovation capitals like Silicon Valley, like New York, because here is where you're seeing lots of startups founded in these innovation capitals, but they're actually from founders from all over the world, right? And that's where you see a great melting pot of ideas. The second piece is we're actively thinking through efforts to scale our international efforts, being present in places like London, et cetera, to tap into founders that are building products that really serve communities in those regions. Because if you think about our Investor Day, international remains a huge opportunity for us. So it's really important that we continue to stay close. And I would say that our business development team, led by Opi Ransui, is doing a really great job in helping us do this more programmatically and more scalably. And maybe a quick plug for those of you who may be in London in June. We do have an event as part of London Tech Week. So if you're interested, would love to see you there.
Okay, because London Tech Week comes, I think, the week after New York Tech Week. We sort of hand the baton on from one city to the next. I want to understand a little bit more, sort of, ultimately what a successful investment looks like for you, because you've had a lot of successes. I mean, of the 90 plus investments, you've got 23, I think it's right, unicorns at the moment. Therefore, by looking at the virtue of a market capitalization, you think this company is doing pretty well to have reached $1 billion in terms of value. What is it that you think is managing to help you back the right horses here?
Yeah, I would say that if you think about what we do here at American Express, I think we have kind of a twofold kind of mandate, right? The first is obviously acting as the investor, identifying early signals and macro trends, and technological developments that will really help pave the way for new pockets of innovation. The second piece is actually thinking through how we can actually help the startups in our portfolio to grow, to scale, to amplify their impact. And I would say that a big part of the success for a lot of the companies in our portfolio is the energy that the Amex Ventures team brings in helping them think through partnership constructs that can help to unlock new distribution channels, new product development opportunities, new joint development opportunities, all the way through to the very energetic business unit partners that we work with day in and day out to actually help bring these ideas to life. And what I'm personally really excited about is that, again, we're thinking about making this more scalable, more programmatic. So if you think about the American Express business more broadly, we last year launched the Amex Sync program, which is a standardized way for startups to access American Express products through APIs. This means that as a fintech or a software provider, if you're thinking about embedding payments into your journey, embedding financial services, you now have a quick and easy way to think through new and innovative journeys, leveraging the products that we have along with the creativity and the innovation and the nuance of the industries that you're serving to create, I think, more delightful products.
Can you give us some examples of how startups have been adopting your own APIs?
I would say that if you think about virtual cards, right, that has been, I think, something that's been really exciting for a lot of B2B startups, especially when it comes to span management. There are a lot of receipts that startups need to be tracking, especially for small businesses. So virtual cards can be a really powerful way to help business owners save time on repetitive back office tasks and to actually spend more time growing their business and growing their revenue. So I think that's an example here that is powerful.
And what's interesting is what size of company you're tending to partner with. When are you thinking about, okay, we're a seed investor as early as that? Are you thinking, no, these companies have to be of a certain scale, a certain ability, capable level to be able to plug into our back office, to be able to be useful to our global consumer audience?
I would say that I think it really depends on the situation, right? So for example, if we're testing and learning into a new technological area where everyone's in the same place, it's early for everybody, I think that these have been situations where we've been very excited to think about small test pilots to really learn alongside these startups. On the other hand, if it's more of a distribution play where, hey, this is a product that we want to scale out to our various card members, then you probably want to think through whether the startup has the ability to handle the scale that we will potentially bring. And also, we go through very rigorous processes whenever we take any product to market. So is the startup at the right stage to be able to deliver upon all of that? Or would it make more sense to actually learn alongside them in other areas and then grow with them over time when they're ready?
Yeah. Have there been, therefore, examples of when you're partnering with a company, you've decided, okay, we want to bring in because we want to learn from you? Is there always an idea that we want to be able to take an investment in you and potentially buy you? What are the theses? Because a lot of people, when they think about corporate VC, were like, oh, it's always strategic because they'll either want the opportunity to fold this in as M&A and they've got their eyes on them from an early perspective. But it sounds to me like you're saying, no, we're trying to understand, ultimately how Web3 works for a legacy business such as American Express.
Yeah, I think at this juncture, Caroline, maybe it may be helpful to just maybe peel back a little bit to talk about the 3 hats that we wear at Amex Ventures, right? Because it really helps to maybe paint the picture for when we do what. So the first hat that we wear, I think we had talked about, is as an investor, which means taking into account staying close to early trends, early signals, and thinking through where do we find opportunity?
To sort of disrupt yourself from within, ensure that you're seeing the new trends and that you're not...
Exactly, right? Being the eyes and ears of the business so that we can prepare ourselves for what's ahead. The second big hat that we wear is actually that of a strategist, which means that we're taking these trends and we're not just monitoring it for the sake of it. We're actually translating that into conversations with our business partners, working them to think through what are the examples of areas where this piece of technology can be additive to your business, right? So a great example here is how we made an investment in a company called Firework a couple of years ago that's innovating in the content and commerce space. Now we're working actively with them to think through how can we actually leverage video technology to better communicate our benefits, to better help drive discovery. And so this is joint product development, joint learning, because Firework is also then learning from us, how do you actually work with a large global, heavily regulated financial services in a space that's fun, right? Yeah. So how do you combine the two? And then
these are not mutually exclusive.
We like to think so. And then the third hat that we wear is that of a business development champion. And what that means in practice is we help our companies, or we help our business partners see opportunity that may not necessarily fit neatly into a mold, right? So a great example here is the work our team did with Trust and Will on the Amex Offers program, where digital estate planning is such an important thing for prudent financial management, but it's so cumbersome today.
Yeah.
If you think about the Amex Offers program, there's a neat mold because it's such a massive program with so many merchants, so many partners, that there's typically a very standardized template in terms of who gets in, et cetera. But for Trust and Will, they did not necessarily fit the mold cleanly. And we took it upon ourselves to actually work the machinery to actually help our business partners to see this opportunity. And this actually turned out to be fantastic learning because it was a hit offer. It's been, I think, renewed once already. And Trust and Will has actually saw that this unlocked a huge growth driver for their business. So going back to your question, I think these different hats allow us, gives us the flexibility to play different roles depending on the situation, the type of technology, and the growth objectives of the startup.
So let's go back to the Trust and Will's element of it. When you said we then sort of stretched the tools and understood the machinery to be able to, who's the we in that? Is it you and the startup thinking, okay, how can we best fit? Is it you within your relationships of Amex more broadly being able to say, okay, we can find this and stretch and mold it, and we can then go and find the startup for us that works with it? How does that?
Yeah, I think it really depends, but I think in this particular situation, for example, we made the investment first. We were excited about the possibility. We saw that Trust and Will was a product that really resonated in the other partnerships, and we were actively excited about thinking about ways to bring it to our card members and our channels. So our team as a whole, we oftentimes talk about at our team meetings, like ways that we can help unlock certain opportunities, right? So it's definitely a team effort as we think through ways to unlock different partnership constructs, leveraging expertise and experience of different people across the team.
So when you decided to make that investment first, had there been any signal from within Amex that that was the direction of travel you wanted to go, or it was just that you are also well trained within Amex Ventures to be like, this is a great opportunity and I can see the fit?
Yeah, so I would say on our team, I think all our investors do have, I think, strong convictions in terms of where they're seeing external trends and what could be important, right? So we take a very deliberate thesis-based approach in terms of thinking through where the innovation is externally. Because if you're consistently just sitting in and taking a business unit's requests, then you can never push the bounds of being truly innovative. So in the case of Trust and Will, a lot of people associate estate planning with death, not a very natural American Express association. But if you think about it, estate planning is actually really important, and many people do it at many different parts of their life journey. I think we learned that, a lot of parents actually do it for the very first time when they're traveling after they've had their first kid. Mm-hmm. So these surprising journeys allow us to learning about these customer behaviors allow us to think through where innovative products can fit in new and delightful ways. And I think that's personally what makes it so fun for me, because beyond just being an investor, you're actually using the resources, the access of American Express to help amplify products, founders, services that you really believe in to a very global pool of customers.
When has it not worked? When have you made a great investment? It still remains a great investment, but it's just not really worked within the corridors of Amex?
There, of course, we obviously don't have 100% hit rate, as you can see, as no fund does, right? So I think in many instances, there have been several, situations. The first is obviously there may have been a thesis that we had believed in at a certain point in time that didn't quite pan out, right? Mm-hmm. So. And that could be from a variety of reasons, from regulatory changes to just changes in consumer behavior, or just the hypothesis, didn't really work out. The second is thinking through, startups pivot, right? So you may have invested in situations where the startup was building product A. A couple of years later, they decided the TAM was too small. For a variety of reasons, they pivoted. So oftentimes, these are situations where the initial investment partnership constructs that we had envisaged probably did not really align with the startup's growth strategy. And that is totally fine, because if we're having 100% hit rate, we're probably not pushing the bounds of actually being innovative and being risk-taking to the right degree.
So apart from a supersonic jet, what were the ones that raised eyebrows, either within team or external to team, the people who work with you?
It's funny. It's actually another jet-related. But this company has really surprised us in that it has actually opened our aperture for new possibilities in commerce. So this is a company called Dust Identity. When we first invested in them, we were very excited about the trend of innovation of digital-physical convergences, right? So if you think about our lives today, you have your physical life, you have your digital lives, and they're quite separate. But we live in a world, that is increasingly wanting these experiences to come together. Dust provides that thread to connect physical objects to their digital records. They found great product market fit in the aerospace and defense industry, and they are actually seeing, really great adoption on the government side for supply chain protection. And increasingly, they're seeing use cases combining content, experiences, and sports with opening up new use cases for sports brands. So thinking through, how can I leverage, certain moments, et cetera, and convert that into commerce opportunities. And all sports brands today, sports franchises today, are actively thinking through new commerce opportunities that tie content and commerce together. So that is another one that I think was initially met with, how does this actually fit? And actually, over time, through patience, through actually working closely with the company, we've actually been able to unlock potential areas of interest that could be really exciting for us.
So the only way I can associate that is sort of top trumps sort of like the ability to have an MBA shot that you're then having in a Web3 form. But what are you trying to explain here?
Sure. So if you think about sports teams today, if you watch a game, there are a lot of precious moments, right? So lots of teams have maybe game-used jerseys. Today, it's just a pile sitting somewhere. Over time, imagine being able to tag that and link that into key moments in the game. Now you're turning a piece of game-used item that previously was just sitting there into new commerce opportunities where super fans may perhaps want this jersey that was won at this touchdown and did X, Y, Z, yes. Right? So thinking about the convergence of how content can be blended into product, into commerce, has been really exciting. And I think if we had stuck very close to our historic lanes, we would not have been able to expand our personal apertures to open our minds into these new possibilities.
And are these sorts of companies tending to be built, as you said, in New York, in San Francisco? Are you finding that actually is truly diversified, the pool of talent that you're actually, just when you study the statistics, you might look everywhere, but actually the ones that you end up committing capital to, do they tend to be coming from everywhere?
I would say they have started to come from more places within the US. Okay. So you're starting to see founders building in Texas, building in Boston, building in Boulder, Denver, et cetera. And that's really great, right? Because I think innovation comes from many different places, and this has also provided these founders with access to different pools of talent. And I would say that on the international side, you continue to see, I think, founders building great products that are very thoughtful for key specific markets within the region, and that's what we're actively looking to tap into.
Let's go there on the geographical footprint, because you have brought a very special element of global mindset, I'm sure. The fact that your own startup was trying to build bridges between Asia and the US, talent pools. You also helped invest for sovereign wealth fund that wasn't based in the US. And so I'm interested as to how you think that's made you a better investor.
Yeah, so if you think about kind of, I think, my international journey, so to speak, I think the one thing that has been, I think, consistent is actually working with teams across different cultures, right? Evaluating products and different services in different contexts, and actually leveraging local knowledge to actually help figure out, okay, this product, maybe it worked in the US, does it necessarily translate here, or vice versa? You know, you saw, great super apps being built in other regions. Does it necessarily translate to the US? Why and why not, right? So I think from an investment perspective, that has helped us think through, are there certain thematic areas that tend to scale more globally? And are there certain other pockets that, because of regulatory requirements, consumer behavior, different, local infrastructure, that necessitates, I think, that this be, a little bit more regional. So I think that has helped as from an investment perspective as well, having seen that context of why certain things have worked on a global scale versus certain things have worked on a more localized scale.
Do you ever want things that are regional?
I beg your pardon?
With Amex Ventures, are there ever opportunities where you're like, you know what, this is really going to satisfy a very consistent user group for us, but it's not going to scale globally?
So I would say that going back to the three hats that we wear, there are definitely considerations that we take into account, right? So as an investor, we measure ourselves against best-in-class returns, and we shoot for that. So if it's a product that has a very narrow set, does that make sense as an investment, or does it make sense as a standalone partnership? And that's totally fine. We have definitely made partnership referrals to our business partners that we've not made investments in.
Interesting.
Because we take a very wide eye, right? We're not just an investment fund for the fund's sake. We are, first and foremost, the eyes and ears of American Express, helping the firm think through different pockets of innovation and how we can better use startups to help advance our roadmap and to advance the value propositions that we deliver. So it could be through investment, it could be through street partnership. And this is exactly why we have started a business development team a couple of years ago to really serve that function, to help us partner with a greater variety of startups beyond just companies in our portfolio.
Do you think, having built her Odyssey, having worked at other investors, that's helped you be able to navigate that ultimately, to help build teams, to be able to ensure that you've got the right connection within the business of Amex to take your relationship or partnership opportunity to?
Yeah, so I think the Odyssey experience was personally very eye-opening and very clarifying for me for several reasons. So the first was definitely understanding that the importance of communication and adapting that to different audiences, different mediums, right? So that has really helped as I translate that skill to American Express as you talk to different business units, different stakeholders. How do you message the same value proposition, but in ways that resonate? The other thing that was eye-opening with me for Odyssey was really appreciating the importance of having a business champion or having a champion in any partnership that you're trying to engage in, right? It could be a student in the school who really knows which classes you should be advertising your program to,
Yes.
all the way through to a company, right, who's looking to accept talent and interns. How do you have a person who's so motivated, who's so excited about your idea, that they can help you tap into channels that you may not necessarily be able to tap into as an outsider? So the Trust and Will example, going back to Amex offers, I think Trust and Will would not have been able to figure out who are the internal stakeholders that we need to talk to help unlock that. So I think that has really helped me appreciate the power of having a business champion. And as I thought about what to do next after Odyssey, I think that was a role that I found to be super energizing, right? How can I still work with startups, but be at a place with scale, be at a place with a culture of innovation, and actually help great ideas, great products, and great services really amplify their effect with the organization and the platform that you're a part of.
What about working alongside other corporate VCs or other members of the venture community? What I often see is the New York venture scene will be very close, particularly women within it, and they'll all be sort of getting together and helping each other. You know, that they like investing alongside certain other people. How have you seen that normal, not generic, but the average venture capital company likes associating itself with a corporate VC?
I think so far we've had a really great experience, and that comes with several reasons, right? So the first is, I think, increasingly startups and VCs, especially in this climate, are starting to realize that financial capital is great, but resources, access to distribution is so much more important if you want to be able to build and grow through the cycle, to do that sustainably, and also to do that in a way that is cost efficient, right? So if I think about the partnerships that we've really brought to bear that have been really successful, we did not just bring capital, but we also brought a very highly engaged colleague base that is actually helping us refer these products to our merchants, for example. Imagine if you're a startup, well-funded maybe, but just going out to, say, a top merchant in the world. Why would they entertain you without a track record? We're now bringing our reputation to the table, which is why we're highly, highly selective. Whenever we make an investment, we do very rigorous due diligence to ensure that we're picking the right partner. And at the same time, our business partners, given the number of winners we have backed, see Amex Ventures internally as the destination for high-quality, responsible innovation. So whenever we bring them a startup, they're excited to work with us, and that has really been super helpful.
Is that necessary? How competitive is it out there at the moment? How much do you need to sort of be wooing certain startups? Look at the power of Amex to help you navigate bigger companies, for example.
I would say that the competitive attractiveness usually probably is a function of, where funds are flowing. But I would say that, in fintech and commerce, we've had really great conversations with startups, VCs who are actively looking for ways to not just partner, but also have us as an investor. And I would say that, if you keep your eyes and ears peeled in the news cycle later this year, you'll see a number of pretty exciting things coming up.
Generative AI, been an area you're having to think about more and more?
So I think no firm today is not thinking about it. It's a very transformative technology that's top of mind for everybody. But I think thinking about AI, more broadly, we've been working with AI for over a decade.
Fraud,
right?
customer service.
Exactly. So since 2010, we have been using AI to help customers with fraud, to help protect our card members with fraud. Subsequent to that, we have used AI to better match merchant offers to our card members, and we've also used it for credit risk decisioning. So being close to generative AI is a very natural extension of what we've been doing. And all those efforts in the prior years have allowed us to develop that muscle, right? But at the same time, it's a newer technology, and we recognize the importance of doing it responsibly. And today, right now, in this space, we're starting more with productivity use cases as a start to internal users to test and learn, right? And over time, we certainly look to expand that to other areas as well. And we have currently a number of pilots underway.
With you yourself as an investor and with that founder mentality, how do you use it personally?
So personally, I have found that the most delightful use cases for me have been when this technology is very thoughtfully inserted into user journeys, right? Think about product summaries that you found to be super helpful. Now you don't have to read everything, but you can get a feel of what works, what doesn't. And I think if you keep your eyes and ears peeled, you will start to see it. There have been, I think is one of the most delightful use cases that I've personally, found to be, very effective in terms of its implementation.
What has been effective for you in terms of thinking of exits with the business? Because what interests me is, I think it's been 38 company exits. Where have those exits gone? Have they IPO'd? Have you bought them? Have other companies bought them? I mean, what for you is an interesting exit for the companies that you back?
I would say that all good exits are interesting exits. So we've obviously had a number of very successful IPOs. Those are always good. I think exits to strategics have actually also been, really great outcomes because it validates the need for certain technologies, right? And so I think those are some examples. And then there have been, rare instances where we've actually bought companies from our portfolio. So Mezi and Bodeswell are examples. But historically, we haven't been a very acquisitive company. So I think that's the breadth.
Margaret, what a joy to have you here.
Thank you
so
so
articulate. Wonderful to have heard her story and hear from her experience as a founder and now an investor. Margaret Lim, of course, Managing Director at Amex Ventures.